Are you really in control of your own life? I mean, really. It sounds like such a simple question, but it might just be one of the deepest, most mind-bending questions ever asked. Today, we're jumping headfirst into that very puzzle, the great free will debate.
Think about it. That decision you made to watch this explainer right now, was that really your choice? Or was it just the final domino to fall in a chain of events that started long before you were even here? That's what we're going to try and figure out.
So to really get a grip on this whole debate, you have to understand the massive, fundamental contradiction that sits right at the heart of it all. It's this incredible clash between how the world feels and how science tells us it might actually work.
Yeah, see, on one side, you've got your own experience, right? Your subjective reality. And from the inside, it feels like we're the ones in the driver's seat. It just feels so obvious that we're making choices. But then you've got physical reality, the scientific view, where every single thing that happens has a cause that came before it. And these two realities, they just don't seem to get along.
Okay, so let's start by building the strongest possible case against free will. This argument paints a picture of the universe as, well, as a giant, perfect, and totally predictable machine, a clockwork universe.
The official name for this is causal determinism, and the idea is pretty straightforward, if a little terrifying. It basically says that from the Big Bang onwards, everything has been one long, unbroken chain of cause and effect. Every star that explodes, every wave that crashes, right down to you blinking your eyes at this very moment. It was all set in motion by whatever happened a split second before it.
To really let this sink in, there's a famous thought experiment inspired by the physicist Laplace. So let's play along. I want you to imagine a being with an almost unbelievable level of intelligence. So this entity knows everything about the present moment. At one single instant in time, it knows the exact location and the exact trajectory of every single particle everywhere in the cosmos. All of it.
And not only that, this being also has a perfect, complete understanding of all the laws of physics. Gravity, electromagnetism, the works. If you have those two things, perfect knowledge of the present and perfect knowledge of the rules, you could calculate the future with absolute precision.
And the takeaway here is just staggering. For a being like this, your decision about what you're going to eat for lunch tomorrow isn't a mystery. It's a calculation. It's as predictable as the sun rising. In this deterministic universe, the future isn't a bunch of open possibilities. It's already written. And our feeling of making a choice, it's just us experiencing the clockwork ticking away.
But then, in the 20th century, physics threw a massive wrench into this perfectly ticking clock. Just when it seemed like the case was closed, we discovered the utterly bizarre and unpredictable world of quantum mechanics.
And this just changed everything. You see, classical, old-school physics described a world that was predictable, a world that followed the rules. But quantum physics, it revealed that down at the tiniest subatomic level, the world is fundamentally probabilistic. You can't know for sure what's going to happen. You can only know the chances of it happening.
And the rules down here are just weird. A particle can be in many places at the same time until you look at it. The simple act of measuring it seems to force reality to pick one state. This built-in randomness looks like it could be the thing that finally breaks that perfect, deterministic chain of cause and effect.
So this seems like the perfect escape hatch for free will, right? If the universe isn't set in stone, then maybe our choices really can be our own. But hang on a second. It's not quite that simple. This leads to a huge new question. Does a random choice mean a free choice?
And a lot of philosophers and scientists would say, no way. If your decision is ultimately triggered by, say, the random decay of some particle inside a neuron in your brain, did you really control that? That's not you making a choice any more than if it was predetermined. A decision based on a roll of the cosmic dice isn't your decision, it's just noise.
Okay, so if a totally predictable universe doesn't seem to work and a totally random one doesn't seem to work either, where does that leave us? Well, maybe we've been ignoring the most important piece of the puzzle this whole time, our own consciousness.
This is a massive problem for the hard determinism camp. Think about it. If every single action we take is already written in the stars, why did nature go to all the trouble of evolving something as complicated and energy-hungry as consciousness? Why do we have this rich inner world where we stress over decisions if those decisions don't actually do anything? It seems like a huge, pointless waste of resources.
So here's another way to look at it.
an idea you could call conscious significance. Maybe we're just asking the wrong question. Maybe it's not about being free from the laws of physics. Maybe our consciousness is a critical biological tool. It's like a simulation machine, running through different possible futures over and over until it finds one that works. And that simulation is what triggers the action. From this point of view, your conscious deliberation is an absolutely necessary part of the causal chain. It matters.
This also helps us spot the problem with that famous claim that free will is just an illusion. When someone says, you aren't in control, they're kind of sneaking something in there. They're accepting the idea of a you, but then saying it's not free. But a consistent determinist would say the you is also just a bunch of deterministic forces. So the statement really becomes, a series of deterministic forces is in control of another series of deterministic forces, which isn't an illusion, it's just true by definition.
So, where are we? What a journey, right? We've gone from a perfect clockwork universe to a chaotic quantum casino, and then finally, deep into the mystery of consciousness itself.
Let's just quickly lay it all out one more time. First, you've got pure determinism. The future is fixed, and your choices are just the inevitable outcome of the past. Then there's quantum randomness. The future isn't fixed, but your choices might just be random blips you don't control. And finally, you have conscious significance. The idea that your conscious mind plays a real, meaningful role in shaping what happens, whatever the physics behind it all might be.
In the end, after all the physics and all the philosophy, the whole debate brings us right back to you. Right back to that undeniable feeling that you are the one making the call. So is that powerful sense of freedom just a stubborn, useful illusion cooked up by our brains? Or is it the most basic, most fundamental truth about who and what you are? For now, that's a choice you'll have to make for yourself.